Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Midweek Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook Live, BitChute, as well as the audio streams, which will be uploaded after the program on Spotify and iTunes. If you subscribe to us there, you'll find us there as well. Thank you for joining us for this special edition. And we promised you we're going to break down some of the developments in the Middle East that are hugely consequential. It's unfolding, it's happening very quickly, but away from the headlines as the Israel-Iran conflict has subsided, and now the focus is on Epstein in the U.S. and Trump flailing around domestically, plus Ukraine and Russia. All eyes are off the Middle East, and this is when you really need to pay close attention. And this is what, for instance, Israel likes, is when the headlines are away, they get busy expediting their agenda, and so is the U.S. We're going to break down a lot of this, and we're going to bring on to the program one of our normal colleagues on this topic, subject area expertise from the region. Ibrahim Majed is going to join us on the live link for this segment. We're going to bring him up onto the screen in just a moment. Hold on, we'll see if we've got Ibrahim on the line from Beirut, Lebanon, and there he is, Ibrahim Majed. Ibrahim, thank you for joining us on the Midweek Wire.
Patrick, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Look, there's a lot going on, and firstly, I just want to start, Ibrahim, by bringing up one of your recent tweets, which you have outlined basically how we're going to move forward at the beginning of this conversation. And the title here, the headline, which you've got, is How Israel's Grip on Syria Threatens to Redraw the Middle East. A major shift is underway in the heart of the Middle East that may prove to be as consequential as the fall of Baghdad or the partition of Palestine. Very strong words, Ibrahim. And so I think you're going to be able to back this up with some facts. And my concern, Ibrahim, and I'll let you have the floor just to kind of introduce the strategy that we're looking at here and what's actually happening. But my concern, Ibrahim, is there's been so much hype with the Israel-Iran conflict, the so-called 12-day war, and the fact that it's over. A lot of people think that, the region's calming down. But according to you, nothing could be further from the truth. Go ahead.
Yeah, Patrick, the truth is the war just started. The 13 days war was a test for the Americans and the Israelis to understand if they can defeat Iran. And if they can defeat Iran, they wouldn't need to do what they are about to do right now. Now, regarding the Levant, today the Israelis need to find a way to defeat Iran. So basically, to do that, obviously they cannot do it right now because Iran proved that they are a very strong military power, and they proved that they can hit any point they want in the entity, and not only in the Israeli entity, but in the whole Middle East and the Gulf countries as well. So for them to do that, they need to divide the region, to break down the allies of Iran, to cut their wings, if you want, and to have an access, to have like J.D. Vance said when the elections were happening, he said we need an Abrahamic alliance against Iran. So today, in order to do that, the key point and the heart of the resistance is Syria. In order for them to move forward, they need to control Syria. Not only control Syria, but divide Syria and have a sectarian war inside Syria, a sectarian war between the Syrians, and this war has to move to Lebanon and to Iraq. This is something that the Israelis have always spoke about, even before the creation of the entity. There were studies that spoke about this. After the 2006 war in Lebanon, the National Security Institute inside the Israeli entity and the Vinograd Committee that was established after the war in Lebanon also spoke about this. They spoke about dividing Syria, dividing Lebanon, and dividing Iraq to a sectarian countries, and these countries have to be at war with each other. That's why Syria is the key. Syria is the main focus now for the Americans and for the Israelis. I think, and I've always said this, in order to control the world, you have to control the Levant. And the most important country in the Levant is Syria. So, yeah, obviously the war is far from over. It basically didn't even start yet. Uh, I just want to go back to the title, that you just spoke about. The Israelis have an advantage right now to not only do what they did to Palestine, what they did, what they did to Palestine, they can do it to the whole region. They can annex the region at the moment. Israelis, and I wrote it in the tweet. Uh, Israeli has a very, very important advantage, Patrick, which is Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is not just a hill. Mount Hermon is a very strategical point in the Levant that looks over Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and parts of Saudi Arabia, and of course, occupied Palestine. This is a point for the Israeli to have intelligence superiority and firepower over certain areas in this region, such as Damascus and the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, where they believe most of the ballistic missiles for the resistance are stored in that area.
And here's a map of the current position, and the area in blue is IDF, Israeli troops. So this is the Golan Heights, Mount Hermon, just there in the top right-hand corner of that blue section, very close to Damascus. Really, we're talking about a few kilometers away. It gives them not only strategic firing position over Damascus, but also parts of Lebanon, which they didn't previously have. So strategically, Mount Hermon is one of the most important strategic points in the entire Middle East. As far as the current map is concerned, Ibrahim, go ahead.
The day the Israeli took over Mount Hermon, the first day they started to build bases. They know exactly that the advantage they took right now. And to me personally, from the 7th of October until this day, put aside the genocide, and this is the biggest loss, is the loss of the people, of the Palestinians, of the Lebanese, of the Syrians. Put this aside, politically and strategically, the biggest loss the resistance and the axis of resistance took is the fall of Syria. It's a loss that is gonna give a 20 to 30-year advantage to the Israeli that they didn't even dream about 5 or 6 years ago. They wanted it, but they thought that it was impossible to get, and now they got it. It's uh, it's a point that they can control basically the Levant from an intelligence point of view and a firepower point of view. Like today, the routes for the resistance, the supply route, the logistic supply routes for the resistance, the Israeli has full vision over it. And this is something that is going to make the job for the resistance harder and harder in the future.
And we'll go back to your summary there of what you had previously. We'll bring that back up on screen, and there it is. Now, Mount Hermon, strategic high ground. You've outlined that very well. It gives Tel Aviv unprecedented surveillance and military advantage over Lebanon, southern Syria, and western Jordan, and even parts of northern Saudi Arabia. So that's how significant this is. So this is absolutely a key vantage point. But where is this leading to? Is this because Israel has strategic plans further afoot that's going to require them to control this area? And if so, Ibrahim, what are those plans?
It's one plan, Patrick. It has always been the same plan, regardless how it divides or how they divide these plans. But the goal has always been one goal: the Greater Israel. If you look at the map of the Greater Israel, it has northern part of Saudi Arabia, where Mount Hermon, you can have a surveillance of the northern part of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq. This is the greater Israel, and this is the strategical point, Mount Hermon, that the Israelis took that's gonna be very helpful for them. I'm not saying that they will be successful. All I am saying is now they have an advantage, and the Israelis and the Americans see a golden opportunity now in this region to push forward for this plan. Uh, and for this plan to work, Patrick, we have to have not only Mount Hermon, you have to have sectarian conflicts in this region. And they have the perfect tool right now to do it, the new Syrian regime.
And when you talk about the Greater Israel Project, and I'll bring that map up on screen in just a moment, Ibrahim. But are the other Gulf states okay with this? Because obviously this is going to impinge on Saudi Arabian territory, Iraq as well. We can write off Syria for the moment because it's occupied by a terrorist regime that the West and Israel have installed. But what about the Gulf states? Do they realize? And what about Jordan? Do they realize what this is about? The larger picture. What about Egypt? Because certainly the Sinai Desert is part of this plan. Control of the Suez.
Exactly.
What about the rest of these Arab countries? I mean, are they woefully naive, or are they in fact buying into this future of the region, or are they just completely uninformed and ill-prepared? What do you think?
I think they know very well what's going on. They are not naive, not one bit, and they are not stupid, not one bit. They are actually in on it. Only the Egyptian part, I want to keep it out of it. I truly believe that Israel will try to weaken the Egyptian army. Look, Patrick, Israel doesn't allow strong military presence on its border. This is a rule for the Israelis. And the Egyptian army is a strong army with capabilities and a number of people that are already serving in the army, a very big number. Egypt is not a country that was created in the early 1900s. Egypt is a 1,000-year-old civilization, same as Iran. This is why you see them attacking, first of all, these two great nations, and they want to dismantle the army in these nations. I truly believe that Egypt is in danger as well. I think the whole Levant is in danger. Now, regarding Saudi Arabia and Jordan, I truly believe that the regime in these countries are in this plan. Uh, happen, and they will push harder and harder in the future for this greater Israel plan not to happen. Because if it happens, Patrick, the people of this region are going into a decade or 2 decades of killing and blood and extremely hard times.
Well, the other thing I wanted to, we'll bring the Greater Israel map up on screen, Ibrahim, here. There it is. This is what you're talking about. That's what you're referring to there. So it does make sense. And so it's not that, this would fully be populated by Israelis, but that these areas would be under Israeli military control, political control, and this would be subservient sort of client states or regions or areas that are basically subservient to Israel and the United States. And that's the Greater Israel Project. That includes all the resources and trade routes and so forth, all of that controlled by Israel. So, but
and the pipelines, Patrick, and the
pipelines, yes,
that is very important.
So the problem here, Ibrahim, is that things are not going particularly well for Israel at the moment. They're probably at their weakest ebb since their founding, quite frankly, in 1948. I think they're at their most overextended militarily. Politically, they're rock bottom globally. In the region, certainly Saudi, the UAE, they're looking at Israel more as they're becoming a liability for investment, for stability. they're not going to be able to walk back what they've done in Gaza. But is this a case of the United States and Israel just pushing ahead anyway, even though the reality is something totally different, which is a kind of a reckless move if that's where the way Washington's going? How do you read this situation?
I read it a little bit different. I read that now the Israelis will try to push into sectarian conflicts in this region. It started, actually, they didn't try it. It already started with the Alawites and on the Syrian coastline, and the Christians inside of Damascus, and now the Druze in the Suwaida. And you can see today the Israelis attacked Al Julani forces in Al Suwaida. They didn't attack them, they attacked next to them. And to tell them that we will, and they said, we will not allow them, the Syrian government to attack the minorities, the Druze minorities in Suwaida. What Israel is trying to do is to submit the people of this region. And what I mean by submit is like, if you need protection from this monster, Al Julani, and this Takfiri group, submit to us and we will protect you. This is what the Israelis is trying to do. They are trying to wash their hands from the blood of the Palestinian people in Gaza and to show the West that, look at us, we are now saving the people of the region and we are the good guys, and they are trying to save themselves politically, because Gaza actually showed the world the true face of Israel. So they do have cards to play right now, and the biggest card is the Takfiri groups in Syria, who are actually in control of Syria right now. And this is something that is the Israelis gonna push to try to save their face, to try to show themselves as if they are the savior of the minorities in the region. And also, this will help them push the Greater Israel project. As you said, Patrick, Israel doesn't have to have a strong military presence all through this Greater Israel. They need to have military control and military and political control of this region. And in order to do that, they need political figures in power that are aligned with the Israeli project, and they have it right now.
And this is what you were referring to before. Very disturbing reports here. How Jolani's thugs, Damascus-linked forces, we'll call them here in the headline on the cradle, massacred dozens in the coastal village of Sharifa. We've also have the incident with the Druze recently as well, and basically saying to Alawites, "You are pigs." That's what was reported there. So this is just a pogrom that's going on pretty much out in the open. At the same time, the UN, everybody's inviting Jolani to the United Nations, state visits, lifting sanctions. So this is kind of, I think. So what do you think about this situation? Is this going to backfire in the long run, or is this just a lost situation?
Like President Trump said, he was the leader of a strong group in Syria. He was the leader of ISIS and Al Qaeda in Syria. I think without the people of the region, and I'm sorry if this may sound harsh a little bit, if the people of the region do not unite and be sincere with each other and know the real threat that is coming to the region, I do not see the Israelis and the American being stopped. We need unity to face this, and we need a lot of to put our differences aside, because not just one group is in danger. Everyone is in danger at this time, Patrick. All the minorities are in danger. Even the Sunnis are in danger. The Sunnis who do not believe like the same belief that these groups have, they are in danger as well. And from a statistical point, statistically, they have killed more Sunnis than Shias. They have killed more Sunnis than Christians. So everybody is in danger right now. If we do not put our hands together and we do not unite, I think that they will be able to achieve what they want. And then, if we decide to fight, then it's gonna take us a lot of time. Right now, it's gonna take us a lot of time, but starting now is better than starting later.
Let's take a look at, as we were talking about, this is the so-called sectarian map of Syria here, and you'll see the Kurdish areas in pink. Those are in the upper corners there of Syria, and then that's regarded as the Sunni belt. This is the in various degrees but populated area of Syria here in the yellow and the gold as well. And you have the Ismailis there just south of Hama, and also on the coastal regions as well. Alawite on the coastal regions in light green, dark green, Ismailis, and down in regular green down the Druze areas in the south tip, the southern tip there. You can see just by Daraa and Sweda, of course, and then also in the close to Lebanon near the Shuf, which is also part of the Lebanese Druze area as well. And so, and then Christian in yellow, hardly visible, of course, because the Christian communities have been dissipated over the years in Syria and continue to be so. But there's a little pocket there in the coastal region there, just northwest of Homs there. And so, this is the map that the U.S. is concerned with. It's the map that is the U.S. guide. It's the Israeli guide.
Patrick, I just want to make, can we keep the map for 1 second? I want to make something clear. What do we notice? We notice that the new Syrian regime doesn't have access to the coastline. So this is why what they were saying about Tripoli, if you can see Tripoli, they want to take it, and they said it has always been a Syrian province. Because they want access to the coastal line. So basically what they are saying also, not only Syria will be divided, but Lebanon will be divided as well. They want to divide the whole region into small sectarian groups that are in war with each other. That's why you see them speaking. Tom Barak said about Tripoli. Al-Julani spoke about Tripoli. There were journalists that are close to the Syrian regime, the new Syrian regime, that were speaking about Tripoli. I think this is something we're going to see in the near future, a clash over that area.
That's incredible. A country the size of Lebanon cannot afford to lose any territory for obvious reasons, many reasons. So it's just, to me, preposterous that anybody from the U.S. or anybody else would be somehow fueling this discussion. And especially in light of the fact that they're so adamant about stable borders remaining between countries and so forth. So that all seems to be going out the window, Ibrahim here. So we'll talk about Lebanon in a moment. You mentioned Tom Barak, who is his first position was U.S. ambassador to Turkey. And he's been kind of upgraded to Middle East envoy in the typical shuffle of Trump world, where everybody's fluid and the parts are interchangeable. But we've got actually an interesting piece here. We'll bring onto the screen of Tom Barak. Let me just get this prepared. But we have a video clip as well, and this is also, this was tweeted out by Kevork Almassian, who you're familiar with, and Kevork made a comment on this, which I thought was, pretty pertinent, and we'll bring that up on screen in a moment. And here it is. This is Kevork Almassian here, and he's saying, "I'm seeing a wave of fairy tales on X about Assad's final days." So this is another interesting conversation. He said, most of them blaming Russia or spinning vague, quote, insider stories. Let's set the record straight. And he went through a series of events here. And he's obviously saying, I'm not defending Russia. And of course, Turkey is not exculpated in any of this. But what Tom Barak is saying here is complete nonsense. So let's go to the clip by Tom Barak. And if everybody just listen closely to, this is Trump's, arguably one of the smarter people in the Trump administration, but he's using his smarts for evil in this case. What he's saying here is typical misdirection by the Trump administration, and certainly he is echoing the Israeli script here. But listen to what Tom Barak is saying on this.
We're not in the regime change business. This president is not into nation building, and we had nothing to do with that in Syria. We had nothing to do with the Assad regime. Everybody should point to Putin, who is under pressure, and thank him for whisking Assad away at the moment. And who took advantage of that moment is Al-Shara.
But he was well prepared and well trained.
It was by America. America had no dog in this race. Zero. Zero. So you have Turkey, you have Saudi, you have Qatar, you have Jordan, you have Iraq, you have Israel, everybody looking for space. Not America.
Okay, let's set the record straight on this, Ibrahim. I mean, it's just preposterous what he's saying here. And I have to bring this up on screen just to let people know what we're talking about here. Donald Trump is up to his neck in Jolani, okay? And this goes back to Trump's first term. So what Tom Barak is saying here is absolutely a lie. He's lying through his teeth. If he's so stupid he doesn't know all of the events that took place, the train and equip program, Operation Timber Sycamore, and the fact that Donald Trump himself saved Jolani in 2018, 2019 from total extermination in Idlib. Trump intervened. He's proud of it. He even boasted about it. And just so people know, let me see if I do have that clip to hand. Actually, I do. I've got that clip. So here's Abu Donald in 2019, in his first term, bragging about the fact that he saved 30,000 terrorists in Idlib. 30,000 terrorists. This is Donald Trump himself bragging about saving Jolani. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Abu Donald.
And Syria is a mess. And I was responsible, and I hope it stays that way, when I put out on social media a few weeks ago about Idlib province. I said, don't do it. And I'll tell you, it happened where I was at a meeting with a lot of supporters, and a woman stood up and she said, there's a province in Syria with 3 million people. Right now, the Iranians, the Russians, and the Syrians are surrounding that province, and they're going to kill my sister, and they're going to kill millions of people in order to get rid of 25,000 or 35,000 terrorists or enemies of theirs, but I think we can call them terrorists. And I said, that's not going to happen. I didn't hear of Idlib province. And I came back to New York, and I picked up the failing New York Times. I hate to admit it was the New York Times, but it was the failing New York Times. And I opened it up, not on the front page, but there was a very big story. I said, wow, that's the same story that the woman told me that I found hard to believe, because how would anyone do that with 3 million people? And it said that they were being surrounded, and they were going in and starting literally the next day, they were going to drop bombs all over the place and perhaps kill millions of people in order to get 35,000 terrorists. And I put out on social media and elsewhere, I gave Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, everybody these orders. Don't let it happen. I said, don't let it happen. That doesn't mean they can't be selective. They can't be, go in and they've got to do what they've got to do with terrorists, assume they're terrorists, but don't kill millions of people. And it stopped. You saw that. Nobody's going to give me credit, but that's okay. That's okay, because the people know. I have had more Syrians thank me for that. This was about 4 weeks ago I put that out. I said, they're surrounding a city of 3 million people. They're going to start bombing the city. Don't let it happen. And I meant it, too. I meant it. And millions of people have been saved.
So, is Abu Donald, I think there's no question about it. He loves Jolani. He says, has a strong past, good-looking young man. He's like, fancies him practically. I mean, it's first of all, Ibrahim, there's no city of 3 million people in Idlib. It doesn't exist. So Trump, as usual, doesn't know what he's talking about. But Tom Barak is absolutely lying through his teeth. I mean, this guy is a total clown now. And any respect anybody had for him and his knowledge of the region, I think you can throw that out the window. He's basically an emissary in the vein of Steve Witkoff for Trump, effectively working for Israel, effectively. So there it is, Ibrahim. And by the way, they pushed They said Turkey promised it was going to help deal with the terrorist problem in Idlib. Turkey did.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry
Turkey,
again.
yeah, Turkey promised that it was going to help deal with the terrorist problem in Idlib, and it never did. So Erdogan was part of this kind of deception, if you will. Plus, threats were made to Damascus about massive U.S. strikes if they did this offensive in Idlib. As you know, it was it was going to happen, and a lot of backroom threats were made, and so of course it never happened. And meanwhile, the U.S. never stopped supporting HTS on every conceivable level. So neither did the Gulf states as well. So I mean, the point of this, Ibrahim, is that the U.S. is heavily involved in Syria. They're occupying 25. They still got military bases all over northeastern Syria. Still, so they're there for Israel. The United States is in Syria for Israel. Your thoughts?
So basically, what Tom Barak said is complete. I agree with one thing with him, actually. He said, we do not have a dog in this race. I think they have several dogs in this race, not only one dog. No, Patrick, they are in on it. They supplied weapons, money. They saved ISIS many times. They saved Al Qaeda many times, and the Israelis did the same. They are extremely in on it. They are actually the decision makers in it, and nobody can do anything without the approval of the United States. It's that simple. He's basically lying to his people, but you know.
Yeah, and just to remind people, the in the region, every single U.S. position, whether it's in Qatar, whether it's in Bahrain, whether it's in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, whether it's in Iraq, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in Jordan, whether it's in the Sinai, whether it's in Israel itself, and whether it's where are the other positions they have. I think they have maybe a couple of other bases. Turkey, of course, Incirlik. Every single U.S. position in the region is for Israel. It's to help defend and protect the Israeli state. So there shouldn't be any question about this. It's not for the oil. It's not for to stop communism or the Soviet Union. It's for Israel. Ibrahim.
Of course, it's for Israel. I mean, look, Patrick, Israel is the United States, and the United States is Israel. They are one. We cannot differentiate them from each other. They have the same interests, the same goals in this region, and they have basically the same. How can I say it? Vision for this region, a divided region, a sectarian region, because Israel cannot live next to people united, and it cannot live next to Arabs united with each other. Israel needs division in order to be able to stay in the Middle East, and nobody is helping them more than the United States for several reasons: political reasons, economical reasons. Regardless the reasons, doesn't matter. What matters is they are one entity. They are one entity in this region. And to be honest with you, Patrick, at the moment, every single thing that is happening is for the benefit of the Israelis. Everything. Actually, at some point, I think the Americans might put the Israeli interest on top of their interest at some point, because Israel almost dragged the United States into a war with Iran that was gonna be extremely hard on the United States. Trump was able to stop it, but to stop this round, but he cannot stop the war that is coming. Their vision for this region is something that the people of the region will not accept. Never, never. And by the way, Patrick, most of the fighters in these groups, these Takfiri groups, they are not from the region. They are not from the Levant. They are from places all over the world.
Yeah, Central Asia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So let's just take a look at this and obviously talking about this issue. In the U.S., Iran strikes afterglow, buys Netanyahu time to carry out his war in Gaza. They're saying ineffective. This is the Times of Israel. So there's Gaza happening as well. So so Israel has got a lot of plates in the air. They've got Lebanon, they've got Gaza, they're poking Yemen, as well as preparing for, I would think, some kind of a counterstrike against Iran or resumption of that conflict, or at least preparing to fight. Your thoughts on the current situation, bearing in mind the Iranian part of this equation. Ibrahim, go ahead.
I believe after the 13 days war, Patrick, the Israelis have a lot of work to do before going after Iran again. They need to weaken Iran. And weaken Iran is by weakening its allies at the beginning. And this is why we see what's happening in Syria and Lebanon and Iraq, because Iraq is Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon are basically the route of the axis of resistance. This is something that the Israelis have to take care of. They have to weaken Yemen, they have to weaken Iran internally, and then they will go after Iran. J.D. Vance said it clearly, we need an Abrahamic alliance against Iran. If the United States didn't get involved in the war, the recent war between Israel and Iran, I think the Iranians would have destroyed the Israeli entity. But but we know that it's not only Israel; it's the United States, it's the NATO, it's a big war that's gonna happen in this region eventually, Patrick. And I don't see us running away from it or avoiding this war. I think this war is going to happen. I think it's starting right now. What we have witnessed in the past 2 years is just a warm up, and what's coming is. I'm really worried about this region, Patrick. I'm really worried about this region. I think a lot of people will die, and this is gonna take long and long years of war.
And just to talk about the expansion of this and some questionable actors, let's bring on to the screen this story here. Diplomatic breakthrough, they're calling it here. This is mainstream press. Syria Israeli officials meet with Aliyev in Baku, Azerbaijan. So how disturbing is this photo if you consider the role Azerbaijan played in the attacks on Iran recently, using it as their airspace? The Israelis used the Azerbaijani airspace. Who knows, launching drones from there, letting Israeli commandos operate across the border from Iran. What do you make of this situation?
Okay, first, before I give my opinion about this situation, this is Azerbaijan is a Shia state, is a Shia country, basically, the majority. Al-Jolani is a Sunni, he calls himself Sunni, group. There is no problem between Sunni and Shia once they are both working for the Israeli interest. This is what the first thing that came up to my mind when I saw this picture. This is a proof that it's not a Sunni Shia and we can unite. It's just who serves Israel and who is actually resisting the Israeli entity. Anyway, the my point, Patrick, what the Israelis and the Americans are trying to do is to how can I say it? It's to put a siege on Iran, a military siege. They already have economical siege. They need a military siege on Iran. And this is why I believe after Syria, we're going to start to see ISIS in Iraq. I truly believe ISIS is going to start moving soon in Iraq in order to destabilize Iraq. They need to push forward next to the Iranians because, Patrick, let's be honest, even if they keep attacking Iran for 10 years, they will not dismantle the nuclear program and the missile program. If they need to do that, they need boots on the ground. And for them to have boots on the ground, this picture has to happen. Syria has to happen. Iraq has to happen.
Yeah. And just when we're talking about, and again, this makes Azerbaijan a major pivot for attacking Russia as well as attacking Iran. So, and Turkey is obviously allied with Azerbaijan, as is Israel, as is Iraqi Kurdistan. Iraqi Kurdistan, that could be a problem for the Iraqi Kurds, of course. The deeper they go into this, it could turn out badly for them, certainly if they continue this.
It will, I think.
Yeah.
I think it will. And they will ask for Israelis to come and help them. And the Israelis will say again, we are saving the minorities in the region. We are not a genocidal state.
And okay, so if we're talking about Greater Israel, Ibrahim, and we'll bring the map up again, the problem is for Israel, they're spreading themselves incredibly thin in terms of manpower. Tel Aviv has been smashed pretty badly in a space of less than 2 weeks, and then they will have to invade Lebanon. Let's be frank, they will have to invade southern Lebanon. Most likely, Hezbollah is going to defend it. They're going to counterattack on Lebanese soil. There's no doubt about that. They're going to have to move into the Sinai Desert as well to create some kind of a pretext there for moving there to create a buffer zone, etc. They're going to have to continue to bomb Yemen. They're going to have to strike Iran and who knows, the Hashid and the PMUs in Iraq. And so forth. They're really Israel. So is Israel requiring the United States to get more deeply involved militarily? Is that how they're going to manage this? Because I can't see Israel trying to fight and put out these fires which they create simultaneously in order to create this, or is the plan to create a sectarian cauldron and civil war in Syria and Lebanon, let that smolder in flames, while they go and deal with these other areas? I mean, how is Israel going to manage this, Ibrahim?
Okay. The United States and Israel do not think on short-term projects. They actually go for long-term projects. My opinion is that the Israelis will try to invade South Lebanon and will also create a sectarian war inside of Lebanon and Syria at the same time. They will weaken the resistance in Lebanon and then enter more to take over the whole of the Lebanese country, and then they will do the same to Syria. They will weaken the new regime and then move. On a personal level, I think Al-Julani, if he signs a peace deal, he will be, after he signs a peace deal, they will remove him. Israel will not allow such groups on their borders. Al-Julani might be an agent, but the people with him are ideological and they are brainwashed, basically. And Israel will not allow these kind of groups on their borders. So they will weaken everybody in the region and then enter to take everything else. And once they do that, they can fight Iran. And if Iran falls, and then they can take over Egypt. Egypt will be next. They will take over Saudi Arabia. They will take over this whole region. I think the Greater Israel project is even much bigger than the picture we are seeing right now. This is why Netanyahu spoke about Pakistan as well. We will not allow Pakistan. Pakistan is very far away from occupied Palestine. Why aren't you allowing Pakistan? It's a global dominance. This is it, Patrick. They want a global dominance.
So they want to be at the hub of the geopolitical center of gravity, and Israel being the sort of, with the United States, obviously, and Britain and European countries supporting it, that they're running and dictating the affairs of the region and determining how sovereign individual nations can be. Lebanon has, how much sovereignty has Lebanon, do they have left at the current moment? Not very much. Not very much. It seems like your government's being micromanaged by the U.S. Embassy in Beirut. What are your thoughts on the situation in Lebanon?
Okay. The people who are actually supporting the resistance, they will always keep supporting the resistance, and they will not allow any occupiers to be occurring in our countries. Now, the government, I truly don't believe, it's not belief, it's a fact actually, that the Americans do control the government in Lebanon, do control part of the military in Lebanon, and do control part of the they control the economical scene in Lebanon. They basically control the judges as well in Lebanon. They control the country. Lebanon is not a sovereign country at all. Lebanon is occupied at the moment by the Americans, and it has been so for many years, Patrick. It's not something new, but this time it's much more because of what happened in the region the past 2 years. They are trying to pressure the Lebanese into a civil war. Tom Barak, by the way, Tom Barak speaking like, you either take care of the weapons or we will let Julani take care of it, something like that. Basically, is pushing the Lebanese people into a civil war. They are telling them, deal with Hezbollah, deal with Hezbollah, deal with the resistance, the weapons of the resistance, because the Americans and the Israelis do not want that. They do not want to fight themselves right now. It will cost them a lot of money and a lot of casualties. So what they want is for the Lebanese to kill each other, and the Lebanese and the Syrians to kill each other. Then everybody will be weak, and they will push in. So no, the region, not only Lebanon, doesn't have sovereignty right now. The Levant is 100% controlled politically by the United States at the moment.
Yeah, and militarily by Israel and the U.S. together.
Exactly.
As a joint force
Exactly.
there. And what about Turkey? There's a lot of speculation that Turkey has ulterior motives in Syria. How true is this, considering the fact that Turkey hosts the United States' major military facilities in Turkey? I mean, how independent or sovereign are Turkey with this broader plan that you're talking about?
Okay, the Turks have always had the dream of returning the Ottoman Empire. Can they do it at the moment? I don't think so. They've always wanted Aleppo in Syria, and they've always wanted the countries that were in the Soviet Union. Before that, they were in the Ottoman Empire. At the moment, they cannot do it because they know that the balance of power is not in their interest. But once the balance of power shifts again, I think the Turks might take a chance in pushing forward with their Ottoman Empire project. Uh, but regarding them having their sovereignty, I truly believe that the Turks, they do have at a level of sovereignty, but at the end of the day, they are part of the NATO, and the NATO is controlled by the United States again.
Yeah, I think I'm not expecting Turkey to do anything like come to the aid of the Palestinians. So in terms of their role in the region, it seems like they're actually undermining that issue.
Helping them, they will not. What you're saying, they will try to extend their borders somehow, yes, but helping the people of the region, I truly do not see this happening.
No. And do you think there's, just in your opinion, do you think there's a little bit of a rivalry between an emerging Turkey and Saudi Arabia in terms of who is the political leader in terms of Islam or Sunni Islam in the region? What are your thoughts on this?
This is not something new. They come from different even different ideological schools. They're both Sunnis, but two different schools. I don't think that Saudi Arabia will be happy if the Turks extend their power in the Levant. Same thing for the Turks. They will not be happy if the Saudis as well extend their power in the Levant. That's why today both of them are trying to be closer to Al Julani in order for him to do their interest or their bidding in the Levant. I truly believe at the moment the Saudis have the upper hand in this region. They do control the people of the region. They control them. I mean, not control them, but they do have an impact on the Sunni groups in this region, and the majority of this region is Sunni. But at the end of the day, it's not a Sunni Shia war, even though they are trying to portray it as a Sunni Shia war. The truth is, it's a war between resistance and occupation. People who are supporting the resistance and people who are supporting the occupation. Whether you are Sunni, Shia, Druze, Christian, it doesn't matter. What matters is if you want to be free or you want to be a slave to the West. Now, this conflict between the Saudis and the Turks, will it evolve? It happened before, Patrick, in Syria. They both supported the groups that were fighting each other. I don't think the Saudis and the Turks will fight each other. I think it will be a proxy thing between them.
Yeah, a proxy war. And so Turkey does have, obviously, territorial aspirations. They'd like to cut off a few pieces of Syria. Eventually, they're probably thinking long term there, no doubt, as they did with the Hatay province up there in northwestern Syria. That used to be part of Syria. That was parlayed around this time of the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. But the thing that people need to understand is the fact that Turkey has the backing of the United States on many different levels. And it seems that if the U.S. is allied so closely with Israel, then Turkey really has limits to what they can do regarding Israel. And so I think that's a non-starter, because this is what matters. That's what matters right there on screen. But go ahead.
I don't think that the Turks and the I don't think that the Turks are gonna do anything right now. I think even if they want to keep Israel occupied, it will be through a proxy war, and I don't think it's gonna happen at the moment. The Americans have much more important things to worry about than this right now, and this is why we see Trump, when Netanyahu was in the United States, not this time, the previous time, he made it clear that he doesn't want an Israeli-Turkish conflict in Syria.
Yeah. And not only that, the Russians are still on the coastal regions in Tartus and Latakia, and the U.S. are in there as well. There's a bit of a change going on with the Kurdish. The PKK have put down their arms, supposedly, but then now we can see more of that civil war brewing with Jolani's thugs facing off against Turkish-backed, maybe there's remnants of the so-called Syrian National Army, which was never the Syrian National Army. It was just a brand backed by Turkey to destabilize Syria. Basically skirmishes with the Kurdish forces there in Syria. So you can kind of see there is also going to be a natural pushback against this Jolani terrorist regime. So there's going to be resistance. There's already resistance forming. It'll be slow forming. And then the situation in Tripoli in Lebanon. Will that pull Hezbollah north to defend Lebanese territory, or will the Lebanese army step up and actually defend Lebanese territory? What do you think?
Okay, I don't think Hezbollah will go north to defend the Lebanese territory. I think they will go east to defend the Lebanese territory. North, it will be left to the Lebanese army, and sadly, I don't think the Lebanese army have the capability to do that, to be honest with you. The Lebanese army they have weakened it, and it doesn't have the proper weapons that Julani has, and some of the people in Lebanon are actually supporting al-Julani, sadly. So it's a very complicated, the scene might be divided. It's actually very connected, but very complicated. The scene in the Levant today is very complicated, from occupied Palestine, from Egypt, all the way to Pakistan.
Yeah, and if Iran falls, a regime change ever happens in Iran, the Israelis have been explicit that they want to see the regime dealt with in Pakistan next. So that follows the U.S. geopolitical plan, which is to control or to disrupt the new Asia, the China-led and Russia-led new Asia, new trade corridors, disrupt that. And Pakistan's also the next important part, allied with China. So Israel and the U.S. have common interests. The U.S. will use Israel, and Israel will do things for the United States. The U.S. will back the Greater Israel Project, so long as Israel acts as their local enforcer for the United States. And so they are partners 100% in the U.S. broader geopolitical, the Western geopolitical aims, but then all these other situations like with Gaza, with the ethnic cleansing and genocide of the native Palestinian population. That suits the United States because that's just another obstacle that Israel wants to clear, and what Israel wants, the U.S. will give them, so long as Israel acts in the U.S. broader interests, which they do. So it's a symbiotic relationship. I think everybody can see that now. But your final thoughts, Ibrahim, on the situation in the Levant, in the region. We'll wrap up this discussion. Thank you for your time as well. But go ahead. I'll give you the floor for the final 2 minutes.
All right. To be honest, Patrick, I told you I'm very worried about the Levant. I think the Israelis and the Americans have an advantage right now, and they see a golden advantage that they will not let go. They will actually pursue more and more and more. That's why the region is going to be in a sectarian long war, and a war that will be beneficial for Israel. Unless a miracle happens and the people of this region unite to fight the real enemy, which is Israel. Because right now, Israel is trying to show themselves as the savior of minorities in the region. Well, in fact, they are the problem of the region, and the occupation is the problem of the region. I just pray that and hope that the people of this region are safe, and this, what we are worried about, doesn't happen. Uh, Patrick, I want to thank you for having me, and I hope we get to do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, we will. We will do. And I will also post details of the space that we just did on Monday evening. I'll post those details as well into the show notes so people can go back. We had a longer discussion Monday evening on X Spaces, breaking down a lot of these issues, and brought in some other guest speakers as well to join that panel. That was very enlightening as well. But this is just a good broad overview. Obviously, we didn't get into a lot of the details of other things, including some breaking developments this week. But nonetheless, I think this has been a good broad discussion. We'll continue this discussion, Ibrahim. We'll definitely continue this discussion going forward. Again, Ibrahim Majed, follow him on X. We included his X handle there. We'll also put it into the show notes as well, and it'll be hyperlinked on our show page at 21st Century Wire. But thank you for joining us on the Midweek Wire, Ibrahim.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for having me. Bye.
There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. That is Ibrahim Majed. We'll be catching up with him again, no doubt, because this is a fluid situation. So we're going to have to basically face the fact that there's a lot going on here. Donald Trump has no solutions for the region, only problems. And the Trump administration has proved itself to be more inept than the Biden administration, and more, I think, mendacious, if that's even possible. But really, look at what Trump did in his first term. I mean, he began the occupation of Syria with U.S. forces, stole Syria's oil, stole their resources, sanctioned them, and destroyed the country, laying the framework for al-Jilani and the al-Qaeda regime, the ISIS regime, to take over in Damascus. That's all down to Donald Trump. We obviously showed you how that happened today, but I think it's important that people realize that the U.S. has got a complete hand in Syria, in Lebanon. They're propping up Israel, a failed state, a failed European colonial settler project, and they're disrupting and occupying still parts of Iraq. So the U.S. is a huge problem. Not to mention an undeclared war of aggression against Iran, and a hugely risky move to hit Iran's civilian nuclear program. I mean, there's no limits when it comes to the U.S. in terms of the damage it's prepared to do for the region. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. That's all we've got time for today on the Midweek Wire. But do join us, and of course, check out the Sunday Wire. That's our program, which is every Sunday here on all of our channels as well. And you can go to support us at 21st Century Wire. Many of you have. We absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for the donations this week. We have a lot of listeners. If you want to jump in and support us, either subscribe and become a monthly member at 21 Wire. It's very inexpensive, but it goes a long way. We could do with some of you to support us there. That would be amazing. If you like this type of content and analysis, which we think is good, we think it's valuable, you want to see more of it, please consider supporting us at 21stcenturywire.com. We appreciate it, and it goes a long way. We have a great team. Our content is improving and becoming more focused, and the quality, well, it speaks for itself. So thank you guys who have supported us as well. That's all we've got time for today. Again, I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This has been an incredible edition of the Midweek Wire. A lot to think about going forward, and we hope that you'll take serious consideration of these issues. Look, I'll leave you with a great track. We don't normally play music on the midweek, but this one was supplied to us by a great poet in South London. His name's Beady Man, and he did a track recently, Viva Viva Palestina. We'll leave you with Beady Man, a great, great poet, and he's just, what a track, which is released last week. We premiered it on the Sunday Wire 2 weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, take care. I'll see you guys on Sunday. All the best.
If hope was a race, then it's finished. And if death has a smell, you can smell it. When limited freedom is diminished, and if evil has a touch, you have felt it. Where there's no safe place to rest your head, and a child's greatest dream is for a loaf of bread in the rubble. She uncontrollably cries, a limbless child with lifeless eyes. Bombs relentlessly rain down from the skies to claim more hopes, more dreams, more lives. He tricks you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. Shaban Adalu, we remember your name. Hooked up to an ivy and engulfed in flame. I really don't know if I'll ever be the same after witnessing these images and feeling his pain. I sit here in comfort, and the tears fall from my eyes, feeling totally hopeless, watching you get terrorized. He tricked you into thinking that doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. You see, when ignorance screams, intelligence stays silent. You can't reason with a fanatic, they'll just resort to being violent. An asymmetry of info that promotes the oppressor, whilst the name Palestine becomes a victim of the censor. The Palestinian people remain victim to the occupier, and the Zionist aggressor just plays a victim forever. 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 He tricks tricked you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, Viva, Palestina, Viva, Viva, Palestina, Viva, Viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. Wherever you find oppression, you'll also find resistance. You label them as terrorists, I see them fighting for existence. He tricked you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, Viva, Palestina, Viva, Viva, Palestina, Viva, Viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine.